Welcome to tonight's trading, guys. I'm going to go ahead and record it from this point on. Go ahead and share my screen so you guys can take a look at the setups that we have for you guys tonight. I appreciate you guys for your time. I know that you guys could be doing anything else. And you guys decided to come learn with us tonight. This is pretty simple when it comes to trading, but a lot of the times what we do is we complicate things a little bit too much. But when it comes to marking up a pair, obviously once you have it marked up, don't move it. If you need to adjust certain things, you can adjust things. But what I suggest that you guys do is write notes on your pair. Like, what is it going to do? Like, for instance, where you guys see the circled area that's in red, and I'm just going to go ahead and go in with this. So the area that you guys see circled in there, right there in red, that area, which I just circled in green, that's the area that I was looking for a potential break upward on Sunday. So it's very important to keep track of these things. That way you understand, oh, okay, so when the formation looks like what I circled in the red right there, it goes up. So you can at least break it upward for maybe 15, 20 points, and then you can find your move that way. Because what a lot of people do is that they try to put too much emphasis on this move, and they focus too much on like maybe the buy and not the sell, or they focus too much on the sell and not the buy, when you can take both of them. You know, you can take a small entry with 1 cent to find your position. 1 cent meaning a micro, or I should say a mini. Yeah, micro, because a mini is a 10-cent lot. So anytime you're looking at these pairs, guys, be very mindful of certain patterns that can play out. Like right here, you have a inverse head and shoulders, as you guys can see that. So if you guys have a question on what this is, you guys can ask myself, or you guys can ask Google. Like I usually just go to Google, inverse head and shoulders. You can just literally type it up, and it's going to pull it up for you. It should pull it up. It's going to pull up the different patterns. So this is something similar to what we had with UCAD right here. As you guys can see, that had a similar outing, I should say, with AUD/USD. So as you guys can see right there, it filled up and then went upward. So right now it's waiting to correct in that area. I would like to see this go upward just because of what happened with gold. If gold goes up, AUD usually goes upward because it's Australia's currency versus the US dollar's currency. So that means that if the US dollar's currency gets weak, AUD/USD is going to go upward because it's AUD versus US dollar. So if US dollar's currency goes down, AUD/USD will go up. I know that gets confusing from time to time, but from what I've noticed, when gold goes up, AUD/USD goes up with it slightly. Right now, obviously, AUD/USD is on a correction because it went up all last night. So I could look for the sell possibly today. If it does open up, if not, I'll look for the continuation tomorrow or later on today. Sometimes it doesn't retrace that much. So you got to be mindful of that. The other pair that I was going to share with you guys was EU, I should say. And it looks like it also played a similar formation as AU. As you guys can see that, that's why I circled it in red for you guys. That way you guys could see what it did. So it did basically exactly the same thing as AUD/USD. So if you guys want to mark on, on your notes somewhere, the AUD and USD move at the same time, maybe not the same type of, maybe not at the same exact time, but they move one right after another. I want to say AUD/USD moves first because that's the Asian and Sydney session. So that's the first session that plays. That's the first session that played today. So as you can see, Euro/USD is going to do something similar to what AUD/USD is going to do. So we can wait for the break on Euro/USD, catch that early in the morning, maybe around 4 a.m. my time, 5 a.m. my time. So 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then AUD/USD, I would look for the move somewhere around 3 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Obviously, if it happens sooner, it happens sooner. Just keep an eye out. UJ's move, those usually happen right off the bat. I think Stacia messaged me a message. She said she was in UJ. I look for the volume to still come down in this pair. Obviously, for the volume to continue going down, the pair needs to go upward. which is what this pair did right here. You guys see the nice bull candle. I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys the bull candle right here. It's the green candle. That's what I mean by bull candle. You can always, like I said, go to the Everything FX Academy and then look for the section. It's like, I believe, the elementary section, where it starts going over the candles and the formations and the trends. Right here, obviously, is establishing a bearish trend, which is what I see here. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep the lines that I have. This is where we have to be a little bit smarter than our lines, right? Can't get all confused with our lines. So I'm going to go ahead and do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and set up my wedges because this is going to be on my 4-hour chart. So I'm going to start it from the wick. I usually start it from the wicks, guys. Like right there, I started that from the wick. I'm going to go right around here to touch another tap. You guys see the other tap that I tapped. I'm going to go ahead and, if you guys don't see it, mark it. That way you guys can see it, because I speak a little fast because I'm marking these pairs up pretty fast. That's why if you go back to the beginning of the call, you can see the markup, how far I've gotten. And then when you do your one-on-ones, let me know where it is that you are. That way I can help you do all this stuff. So right now I'm just following along with what I've marked up, which is what I suggest, you guys do as you guys get to the advanced levels. As you guys can see, I put an arrow so you guys can see it a little bit easier. That's why I did that. Let me see if I can make this bigger. Okay, there's that. You guys can see it a little bit bigger there. It's that black arrow that's right there. That's where you see the trend establishing to the downside. So you could see a potential break underneath the box. So if you guys are hopping on the video, go ahead and watch this on the replay from the beginning. Once I'm done with the video, because I am recording it. But for now, this is what I'm looking at as far as UJ, because this is establishing this trend downward from what I see here, and then from what's coming out in the news today and yesterday, just today's past as well. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the sell underneath the gold box. This is something that I've had set up for a while now. And as you guys could see, it finally gave us a rejection right in here. So right now it's behaving perfectly, because a lot of the times people are like, well, why is it buying? It's about to sell off. So you can put it like, you can put a nice little order. If not today, tomorrow, obviously, because some days sell, some days buy, right? That's why it gets confusing, because you're like, well, isn't it supposed to be selling? Yeah, but like you also have the possibility of it respecting the trend line, which is why I do all that I can do to help you guys mark up these charts, because let's say it supports right here, well, then it's going to go up. Nobody can like be God and like tell the trade what to do. A lot of people are like, well, why isn't it like exactly like this? Well, because it's trading, bro. Why isn't life exact? It's the same thing, right? So many possibilities like trading. That's why we got to get our brains together, our minds together, which is why we offer mindset, which is why we do the one-on-ones, so that you guys can get the most out of those calls. Because these calls are just going to be gibberish if you guys are trying to learn from these calls and haven't paid any attention in the one-on-one calls. But if you have, I love the fact that you're getting up to speed, because a lot of this stuff is pretty simple. Right now it's forming like a type of triangle that can reject the bottom, so it can go upward at any point in time. So we have to see how it plays right there in that area at 105, 500. That's a very huge pivot area. For me, like I said, I'm waiting for the sell underneath 105, 300, just for the simple fact that this pair's been at that area before and it hasn't gotten completely down. So that's something to where we want to keep an eye on, because this pair did that last time to us. Well, not to me, but like to people that took it. They thought it was a sell right in that area, and it ended up going upward for, let's see if you would have took the sell here, you would have to close out here. So let's say you entered your buy right at these coordinates. This is why I have these coordinates for you guys too. That way I make it easier for you guys. Because if you guys trade the coordinates, that would have been 173 points to the upside. So that's why I always keep in mind 30, 60, 90. I know that sounds like Nikola Tesla made it, but it's just a number. It's a ratio. it fits in a lot, and it fits in a lot of numbers. So 369 is very important when it comes to trading, especially these pairs. As you guys can see, that's at the 30 supply zone. That's a supply and demand zone. As you guys could see that, that's why you guys see the consolidation around that area, and that's why you see it trying to do the same thing. I see it right now respecting the buy because the U.S. dollar is going to get weak. So if the U.S. dollar is going to get weak, there's going to be a lot of gold being moved around. So what I would look for is a DXY to go back up for this pair to go down. But if the DXY goes down, that pair is going to continue going down or upward. So it's going to do the opposite of the DXY. That's just usually what it does. So if you guys have questions, let me know in the chat box so I can answer them accordingly. I was going to go ahead and share with you guys my screen. So I was going to go over a section of Naked Forex, what I was reading, just to help you guys understand the trade a little bit more. Because I know a lot of this stuff is overlooked. It's never talked about, but it's something that's very important to understand. I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start with the major currencies of the world. Why is this important? Because when you go look at news articles, they're not going to tell you Eurozone. They're not going to tell you the euro. They're going to tell you something like the fiber, the greenback, the yen, the cable, the Swissy, the Aussie, the Kiwi. That's how they're going to talk to you. And then if you don't know how to read that, you're going to be like, well, what is that? That's where you're going to need a chart like this. So I suggest that you guys have a chart like this on an index card or have it written somewhere, because if you guys are Forex professionals, this is something that should be somewhere in your room with the times of the time zones that these sessions play. That way you're more on point and you guys are able to keep track of the market and the market's not keeping track of you guys. Let me take a look at these messages real quick. That way I can go ahead and answer some of these questions. I'm going to go ahead and turn up the music. That way you guys can hear the music while I start charting the new pair. Today I'm going to chart a new pair tonight. And that's going to be gold. So I haven't looked at gold.
Yes, sir.
Potentially, bro, because there was this article right here that came out. It says gold jumps. So anytime gold jumps, the bears show up for the DXY. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's see. I was gonna read this article with you guys because I just saw it right now. I was like, okay, so this is gonna play into the sessions tonight, and it's gonna play into the buys that I was talking about this week. Because I was saying that there was gonna be some buys this week, but I needed the market to go downward like the DXY. Because every pair that's gonna be traded against the US dollar needs to be weak in order for the buys to go upward. So you guys, it doesn't really matter if the dollar does what it does. All that matters is that we understand what it's doing. So the gold jumps, dollar dumps as S&P ends the shortest bear market in history. So anytime you guys are looking at stocks, you guys could look for instance, if I look at this article right now and I go look at USD CAD, I can probably already see that it sold off because of that article, or it's going to sell off even more because of that article, because that has to do a lot with stocks, guys. So the stocks are what bring USD CAD and the DXY up or down a lot. So as you guys can see here, I was talking to CJ about this pair, I think yesterday, and I said that ideally I want my buy to come in where the black circle is. So I want it to go down a little bit more. So I'm anticipating another little drop here, but it needs to go up.
Yes, sir, bro. I was thinking the same thing, man. Thank you. I just had to. I'm sorry.
I'm glad you were looking at the same thing. I think it's going to do something similar to UJ, personally, because you know how UJ is coming down, and then look how it established the bull right there to pivot, to decide to either shoot downward or go upward. UCAD is going to go downward because it has more volatility and it has more to do with the DXY and the stocks. So I personally think that one's going to go down first, and then UJ is going to kind of just swing in the balance. I think UJ is going to swing back up. One thing I've looked for is when UJ goes up, UCAD goes down. But what I meant by the UCAD pair needing to build a little bit of volume, it needs to build one green candle for me to take the sell. If it doesn't form that green candle, then I just won't take the sell. I'll just wait for the buy. But what I mean by that is like this right here is what I'm looking for. And then the sell, right? Because it did that 3 times already. So I'm looking for the buy now since it did 3 ways downward. That's personally what I'm waiting for. but I can still sell it, you know, for a few points to find the position for the buy. That's always something that you can trade like that, you know, that way you're not, you know, being stuck in one trade and you're not understanding what is going on. You can always put 1 cent to see what direction the trade is going. Personally, for me, I find this supporting at 130. So that's why I suggest that you guys probably take notes to put it at 130. As far as, you know, the area to where you're going to see the buys or you're going to see the pair rejecting really heavy. So that's that for UCAD. Let's see, AUD USD. I showed you guys that pair, right? Yep. So that's showing the bull candles like we had just went over because of the gold going upward. So that's popping a green candle right now. It's a nice 4-hour candle. So it just started about 20 minutes ago. That's why I start the session at 11 so that you guys can get a glimpse of how the market starts. So all that I do once my pair is marked. So for instance, right now, as you guys are taking this pair with me, if you guys are taking the pair with me, I just wanted to go back to it. That way you guys can see what it is that I do exactly when I mark up the pairs. I look at the 2-hour, I look at the 3-hour. I look at any areas that may not look similar, because if it doesn't look similar, that means it's retracing, it's coming back, it's doing something different. But right now, as you guys can see on the MACDs, and I'm going to go to the section of the book that actually shows you how to set them up or how to read them. And this book is also on Telegram for the people that have already invested into our Mindset You Trade Firm group. I would love for you guys to download that book. I'll give you guys access. It's on Google Docs, and you guys can take note of that book because that book is worth it, guys. That book helped me find this buy the other day. I was just looking at the book, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so simple. So I threw the MACDs versus the RSI. That's just a personal preference. It's going to show you how to do both. So you want to take note of that tonight before the end of the call. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to do that. But for now, as you guys can see, the bull is coming back for AUD USD. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I like the nice floor that's creating to go upward again. So this pair is looking like it's going to be buying because of the gold. But again, look for the sell if it does, you know, reject where that black arrow is, because it can reject at that 72,600 area if it doesn't go past that 72,600 area. And that would be technically a supply and demand zone, like I was just sharing with you guys earlier. It's the 3060. So this would be the 60 area. So I would wait for this pair to get above 60 before I put the buy. I would look for the sell if it starts getting weak at that area. So as you guys could see here, last night you guys could have sold right off at 600. Tonight we'll see what kind of night plays tonight, because gold, it looks like it's taking over. So I might just, you know, go upward. Take a look at this article. I'm gonna go ahead and post it on our group. That way we could take a look at it over the night. That way you can make an assessment on if you want to take gold, or just to see what pairs do when gold moves. You know, how do the other pairs, you know, react to gold moving? Because UJ went up, right? AUD USD is going up because gold's going up. So that's something to keep in mind, guys. We're going to go ahead and take a look at gold. That way we can mark it up and see what it looks like. So I still myself have not marked this up. I did this purposely that way I can mark it up with you guys. That way I can have a pair to mark up with you guys too. So as you guys can see, I mark horizontal lines because I wanted to mark the pair. Since May 22nd, I've been keeping track of gold. And as you guys can see, this is why I say we're stepping into a recession, guys, because look at all this. That's going upward. Ever since I put that horizontal line, it's going upward. So gold's going up. I want to say, like, you want to tell your friends and family, and I want to share this on a call. You guys want to start getting into trading, like seriously, because there's really nothing else out there that's going to give you as much time freedom and as much back as trading. So I want to just invite you guys personally to do that for you guys. So at the end of the day, like, we're already here, and I love doing what I do. So what I do usually when I set this up is I find an area, right, like right here, to where I have a lot of wicks, to where I could find an area to where I could pivot my wedges. That way I can wait for the breaks above there. That's the one thing that I do there. And then the crosses. So I look for a downtrend. As you guys can see, there's no downtrend. Gold is pretty simple. I want to say if it retraces, it lets you know if it's going to continue going down. So it like stops the balance, or so I should say it stops the volume of the trade once you see it do something like that. because it literally wanted to come back down to test 1735, which is a supply and demand zone for gold from what it looks like. And supply and demand is pretty easy to find when you're looking at it in context like this. I usually just put a box. Once it breaks out of the range, then it broke out of the supply and demand zone. So it looks like it wanted to come test, obviously on that second push downward. It wanted to test the floor, and it looks like it's supported. So it looks like now we have a new floor. What I like to do when we have a new floor, guys, is I like to put a horizontal ray right on the butt of the trade. So like right there, to where I have to where I have two or 3 points of contact. I have the one on the other side. I have the one where it engulfed. So that's also another thing that you can look up on Google, engulfing patterns, and you're going to see that it's going to show you something similar to this. So if you're just hopping on the call right now, go ahead and watch the call from the beginning so you can watch the replay on the pairs that I was marking up. I went over GBP, or I should say right now I went over AU, EU, and UJ. Potential trade opportunities for EU and AU, 5 a.m. and 3 a.m. for the best times possible. And then let's see, GU I'm going to go over right now. But as far as gold right now, the pair we're covering, the reason we're covering gold is because AU is going up and UJ is going up because of gold. So that's something to keep in mind. Even though, you know, we hear things like it's going to be a sell, we shouldn't always depend on the news. The news is just like their articles of confederation. This is something that Amanda shared with me the other day. So they're not statements. Does that make sense? So like, just because they say something doesn't mean it can't be amended tomorrow. That's where a lot of people don't understand the trade, because they're like, well, it seems like a scam. I'm like, bro, like, how is it a scam when you have all kinds of folders on Forex Factory and your job is to educate yourself because you're a professional? It's literally your job to educate yourself on all this information. I didn't always sound like this, guys. Like, believe me, like there was a time where I sounded confused about what it is that I was trying to do for my trading, and let alone trying to explain it to somebody. It was freaking confusing. Now it's like, okay, it's really simple. Like, as you guys can see here, gold's not shooting down. It's not shooting up. Why? Because I put it on the daily. I stop my volume. I put it on the daily. I slow myself down. I see what I need to see. So right here, what I was sharing with you guys right now, I see the upward move that gold jumps dollar dumps, right? So that looks like it's going to continue going that way because it looks pretty strong to the upside. It gave you like 3 or 4 days of nice good candles, and they gave you an entire week, it looks like, almost, and it started pretty good the first 2 days of the week, which you guys can see right there, green and pink. And it looks like today it looks like it wants to push up because the DXY finished so low. So the DXY is going to move the gold. So if you guys want to plan on gold, you guys can that way as well. So just look at the DXY. If the DXY is showing selling indications, which it is, I don't see any potential for the buy here with the DXY. So that means we're going to go into a bit of a mitigation season, to where we're going to be like mitigated at work, everywhere we are, just because money's going to be tighter, and that's what's going to happen. So that's important to understand, why bosses are going to be extra at work, why little things are going to, you know, annoy us. Just different things, you know, different people popping up, saying different things, doing different things. But going back to the trade, guys, I'm going to go ahead and put, let's see, a wedge right here. This is, I want to say this is almost ready for its drive. So I'm just going to put a black line, that way I see it myself and I don't confuse myself like I did for GU. Because this is literally what I did for GU, guys, and then I just followed it. On the other side of that came the buy. And you guys can probably see it as you guys start lowering down the time frames. You guys can start seeing it crush that area. So see, all I did was mark it on the daily with the wedges. One thing to keep in mind, and I box in pretty well, is the wicks that it plays on those areas. So there's the first wick that you see in that area. So as you guys could see, the reason I do the wedges is because it fills the area that it's supposed to fill, and then it goes upward or it goes downward. That's why I set up the wedges that way. So I'll just put a little box so you guys can see that. Pretty simple. So if it were to sell, you would sell it underneath the box. That's where it would come underneath the box if it were to sell. It gave me a nice, to me, it gave me a nice little push up right here. So we're just going to wait and see what it does in this area right here. Wait and see what it does in that area right there. Turn it black so you guys can see it differently. I'm gonna wait and see what it does in that area before I make a move on any of the other pairs. I don't have to trade gold. Like I said, I don't have to trade gold, but we want to understand gold to see what it's doing. That way we understand what other pairs are doing. I'm gonna go ahead and answer some of the questions, and then go back to GU because GU has been playing good all week. Today might be the day it retraces nice and heavy for us. See, as you guys can see here, it doesn't look like it's rejecting the floor to create a ceiling on the gold. And I'm going to go to the MACDs to finish up. So you're looking for the expired as an uptrend. Sorry, I was tapping too. Oh, yeah, go ahead, bro. Thanks for letting me know. Did you want to unmute? Go ahead and unmute.
Nah, bro, you good. I'm watching. I'm learning.
Okay, cool. I'm glad you are, bro. If you have a question, just unmute, bro. I know that I'm getting towards the end of it. So, like, if you guys have any questions, you guys can unmute your mics. Right now, I was going to go over the MACDs and RSI, how to set those up. I know that if you've done this with me long enough, the RSI, you probably put it at the 14-day. So that's what you do for the RSI. The MACDs, we put them at 5, 34, and 5. And the article, when you guys go read the Naked Forex article, or the book, I should say. Guys, something that Amanda taught me, which is amazing, because she went to school for law, right? She said that this book only goes out to like lawyers and stuff, and like judges and people that write these articles, and it's true because it says that on there. So feel important, guys, when you guys read this stuff. Like, this is what big time people do. They read, they study. The reason people find themselves lost sometimes is because they don't study. They don't read stuff like this.
Exactly. That's Like reading those articles play a big role, y'all. Reading those articles play. I wouldn't have, read any articles if it wasn't for Isaiah and him showing me Forex Factory. Now I wouldn't have even sold USD CAD if I wouldn't have read that article. Those articles play a big role in the market.
They do for sure. And then when you look at this book, you guys, I was sharing with CJ how the buying signal looks for the MACDs. It shows you cleanly how the buy should look with the MACDs. So you see when it crosses over. So what I did with AU is I circled it for you guys. That's why I had it circled so that you guys could see that I literally read a page in the book and I'm like, oh my God, it's right here. It's right here. Literally, I did the inverse head and shoulders over the weekend. And I'm like, oh my God, it's right here. Where the circle is, that's what it's talking about. It goes over the yellow line. And as soon as it goes over, it gives you the signal to buy it. So you could have bought it as soon as it crossed over, because on the next dump down, it was going to cross over again because it had already crossed over initially, which is what it showed you here. Now what happens is it crossed over a second time, so it doesn't show you that in the education in the book. Of course, that's where you pay for a coach, or that's where you get on these sessions so that I can help you break some of this stuff down the best way that I can, because it's not going to show you that it crossed back over. In your mind, when you're trading, you're like, oh my God, it's coming back down. Right? But when it gave you that first initial confirmation, that's where you have to trust it. And especially if it gave you a nice firm one, like it did for us on Sunday, I put in a nice heavier trade. So I want to say overlaid trade, because I want to use a different word for overlaid trade on Sunday, because I saw this information on the book and I'm like, dude, this is worth the $70. This is worth the investment that I paid for the book. Obviously, this is worth the investment for the people that have made the investment to Mindset U, because where else are you going to learn this information? Like, just flat out, where else are you going to learn this information? So if you want to look up a new word of the day, stochastic. That's a indicator, okay? A unit of measurement. And it's a really accurate unit of measurement as well for finding trades. So if you guys want to use the stochastic, I can't even say the word, stochastic, here, yeah.
It sounds right, bro. It sounds like you were saying
stochastic. Yeah, it's called stochastic. I Googled the word the other day because I was like, I don't want to sound stupid on my call, even though I don't care if I sound stupid or not, but I just thought
I mean, it sound right.
yeah, stochastic, that's what it is. But you guys can use that as well. I found it to be more accurate with the stochastic because you get the little drop. You just got to wait for the little drop down. And then you get your naked buying signal. So if you can apply the stochastic and the naked buying signal, which is why I do a lot of what I do, which is why I point at, you know, stuff like this. This is the naked signal that they're talking about right here. I just marked it, and then I'm going to highlight it for you guys so you guys can see it. So that arrow right there that I just put, that's the naked signal that they're talking about. So that's where you would have gone in for your buy for the entire drive. See? Or you could have gone into the previous one right before that. Those are your naked buying signals, and that's what it's talking about here. See? It's the same kind of candle, because what happened right after that? It went right up. It's not going to give you the same exact candles, but it gave you a similar candle. And then it gave you a pushed candle upward, which is why I have this marked the way I do right here. Because I see that that's the pink version of the first drive up, but it's just bigger volume. So until it breaks that area downward and shows me a retracement like I have right there in blue, I won't sell this pair. I like what I'm seeing right now as far as it reversing back up and continuing its maybe the correction wave and then coming down. I wouldn't just jump on the sell just right off the bat. But if it plays it, it plays it. I'm going to go back to GU just to start wrapping up this call. Let's see, GU. See, so GU, it looks like it did the continuation that I wanted it to do. I kind of marked it up there yesterday just to see where I would take my position today. And it looks like it's doing what I wanted it to do. So it looks like it's retracing in that area. It's hanging in there. This is where I marked it on Sunday. Literally, I marked this line with you guys on Sunday. So if you guys go to the map out the week outlook call, I literally just marked this line and I said, take the trade as soon as it goes right. As soon as it goes to the right of that trade. Because to me, I saw it buying because of the signal that I saw right prior to that. That's why I marked it right there for you guys with the little arrow. That's like the naked signal that I saw for me to take this pair as a buy. And then obviously you saw it over there. I circled it again, and you guys could have taken it from, let's see, from the coordinate up to where it is now. Even if you guys would have wanted to follow the trade, and it'd be about 124 points on GU, 115. Light retracement. It didn't have that much retracement. It had 1, 2, and it's having its retracement now. So as it's having its retracement, what I want to do when it gets to the top of the channel, I usually just mark a little box right here. This is how the boxes come about, guys. So for the people that are like, how do I place those boxes? You place them right now, like when the trades are running. That way you see your indications, and then you can even get more specific with the boxes. Like if you know your coordinates, I know that's one thing that I want to go over with the people that are doing the one-on-ones. That way you guys know exactly how I place the trades. See, so I'll put it at 600 and I'll put it at 300 because that's from psychological area to psychological area. So I just do it like that. And then once it breaks out of those areas, if it goes downward, it's going to break underneath something like this. So it's going to do something like this. If it does come underneath, it'll do something like that. It'll go upward and then it'll take down and then do something like this if it does. And if it does do this, if on the pull up it doesn't give you a nice strong green candle, I would sell it, because then what it means right after that, and I've seen this again, guys, quite a bit, it does something like this. And if it goes wider, it's going to go up. If it goes in more, it's going to retrace and then come down even more. So that's something that I've seen trades do, because as it starts to widen out, it means it's starting to shoot back up again. So keep that in mind. Always keep in mind to sell, because as it starts touching new areas that it hasn't touched in a while, it starts rejecting. And that's a new area, as you guys can see, hasn't been up there in a while. It looks like it wants to do the bigger version of this pattern. So I go based off patterns, guys. I know I've been watching the market for quite some time, which is why I trust trades sometimes where I don't. What I see it doing is that pattern up here. That's what I see it doing. From what I see right now, I might do whatever it wants to do. Again, I'm not God. I don't call the trades out 100% of the time. But I do the best that I can to size them up to where I do understand what I need to be doing. And even if I get the trade wrong, I can sell it right after that. If I bought it at a wrong area, because I'm decisive. One thing I want to share with you guys before I wrap up the call, you guys want to be decisive. Because if you guys see a pattern like a Gartley pattern that I saw here, this is also why I saw what I saw, because I saw this Gartley on Friday, and I said, look, this pattern's going to go up because there's a Gartley. Actually showed me this pattern, I think, last week on one of the trading calls. I think I broke it down, and I talked about this pattern, and I also talked about the times it'll try to go down and then go down. So 30 is the magical area for the sell-off for GU. So if it comes underneath 130, like UCAT, isn't it funny how UCAT and GU are at the same level now all of a sudden? We got to thank Mr. Donald Trump for that. Obviously, he's doing a great job with the economy. He's doing a phenomenal job because I haven't seen GU be this good in quite some time. So that's something that, you know, you can look forward to. GU looks pretty solid. I mean, it's looking like it's making some nice patterns. You just got to be patient. Don't rush your trades. GU is a good time to trade at, I want to say 5 a.m. my time. So 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, which would be 7 a.m. New York time for the people on the East Coast, and it would be about 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would be Arizona time, California time for the people watching this from California. And going back to the MACDs, guys, just so you guys understand how to set those up, when you guys go to the indicators, literally just go to the settings part of the indicators where it says F times indicators, and you'll just find it right there. Literally, all you have to do is type in MACDs right here. Literally MACDs right there, and it'll be right there. Okay, so when you guys type those in, it's going to give you coordinates. And again, you guys can ask me this on the one-on-one calls, so I could help you guys set this up. And it's going to look something like this: 534.5, and it's going to be unchecked from the simple MA oscillator, and then the simple MA signal line. So it's just going to it's going to be the way it's coming from the manufacturer, and we're going to apply the coordinates that aren't the generic ones. That way you can see the trade a little bit better. And as far as this call, guys, that's pretty much it for me, guys. A lot of this news comes out on Forex Factory, guys, and everything that you need is right there, as you guys can see. So whatever pair you guys are trading,